The sky above Terra tore open like a broken mirror, shards of light spilling through endless darkness. A streak of red and blue burst from the wound in reality, burning brighter than any sun, cutting across the polluted heavens. Sirens screamed through the hive cities. Titans froze mid-step. The Astronomicon flickered, its golden pulse trembling as if the universe itself had been struck. Across the Imperial Palace, millions dropped to their knees, whispering desperate prayers to the Emperor. Something was coming, something not of the warp, not of chaos, but something else, through the burning sky. The figure descended draped in a halo of fire, cloak snapping behind him like a living flame. His eyes glowed with steady light, not the madness of the warp, but the strength of a soul unbroken. His armor was simple, colored in blue and red, marked by a symbol none could name, a curved letter that burned brighter than gold. The air rippled with power, but not hatred, not corruption. It was warm. It was good. The first to react were the Custodes. Golden lances charged. Thunder rolling through the desert of Terra. Squads of gray knights appeared in flashes of light, their psychic auras ready to burn anything unholy. Imperial guards took position, voices trembling as they loaded lasguns, each man reciting the litany of purity. Over the vox, one word echoed, demon, but the figure didn't fight. He floated above the glassy sand, hands raised. His voice carried through the storms, calm and human. I don't want to fight you. I'm here to help. Bolterfire answered him. Shells exploded against his chest, sparks flying harmlessly into the wind. He didn't move. He didn't strike back. Every round, every blast, every psychic bolt struck him like rain against a mountain. He only looked at them not with anger, but sorrow. Then came the psychers. Their minds reached into his presence, searching for corruption, for the taint of the warp. What they found instead was terrifying in its purity. No darkness, no chaos, only light, endless and clean. Many fell to their knees, weeping. A few went mad, unable to comprehend goodness unbound by the Imperium's chains. The sky thundered as the Astronomicon flared, its golden fire clashing against the stranger's blue aura. Two forces met in silence, faith against hope, divinity against humanity. Across Terra, billions saw it, gold and blue twisting together in the heavens like living flame. He landed at last upon the holy ground, his boots sinking into the dust of 10,000 years of prayer. Around him, soldiers trembled. Custodes held their spears, but none dared move. He spoke again, voice steady through the storm. I am not your enemy. The silence that followed was heavier than war. Even as the guns stayed raised, the truth sank deep. This being, this impossible man, hadn't come to conquer. He hadn't come to destroy. He had come to save them. And none of them knew what to do with mercy. Golden light spilled across the walls of the Imperial Palace, reflecting off the armor of the Adeptus Custodes as they carried the intruder through endless halls of gold and stone. The being didn't struggle. His hands were bound in psychic chains, his head bowed, eyes calm as if the universe around him were merely a storm passing by. Every living soul who saw him felt something shift in emotion they could not name. To some, he was a blasphemy. To others, a promise. Rumors moved faster than light. Across Terra's spires and hives, whispers spread like fire through dry air. A god had arrived, a living being who could walk through bolterfire and silence the warp itself. Priests gathered in circles, arguing in secret over the meaning of this event. Was he a test from the Emperor? A trick from chaos? Or had the master of mankind finally sent his equal to walk among men? Deep within the sanctum of the Golden Throne, the air itself trembled. Machines older than time pulsed in rhythmic agony as the stranger was brought before the Emperor. The chamber burned with radiance. It was not light as mortals understood it, but the physical weight of divinity. The Emperor sat unmoving upon his throne, a being both corpse and god, his presence filling every atom of the room. Even bound, the man of steel stood unflinching before him. Blue eyes met golden fire, and for a moment the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. A voice, ancient and vast, filled the chamber. "From what realm do you come that you dare to enter mine?" The sound was not heard, was felt, burning through the bones of all who stood near. The stranger lifted his head. His voice, though quiet, carried warmth that pushed against the cold eternity of the throne. "I came through a tear in reality. I was trying to stop a disaster, to save my people. I don't seek your power. I seek peace." Silence followed. The Emperor's gaze pierced him like a blade, reading his soul, testing every thought. What he found was not deceit, but something far more dangerous: compassion without limit. Mercy that knew no hierarchy. A faith not in gods, but in the goodness of beings themselves. The custodies tightened their grip, but no command came. The Emperor studied the man longer, then spoke with quiet authority. "Peace is a lie told by the weak to comfort the dying. Humanity endures because I command it to endure. You would undo 10,000 years of survival with your kindness." Across the galaxy, psychic echoes rippled. Some called the visitor a divine herald, others the great heresy reborn. The ecclesiarchy divided. Chaos laughed from the shadows of the warp, feeding on doubt like blood in the heart of the Imperium. Two forces stood unyielding, one born of eternal control, the other of unbreakable hope. Neither raised a hand, yet the war between them had already begun. They called him the heretic son. The name spread through the stars, faster than the light of his own eyes. He moved like a storm through the Imperium, not to conquer, but to break the chains that had been rusted onto humanity for 10,000 years. Worlds that had only known obedience and terror now saw something else. A man who defied gods and called mortals equal. I was a soldier of the Imperium once. My loyalty was shaped in the fires of faith, carved by fear of failure. We were taught that doubt was sin and mercy was weakness. But when I saw him tear open the gates of an inquisitorial fortress, his hands glowing like suns, I saw no sin. I saw liberation. The prisoners, psychers, mutants, heretics crawled into the light, trembling not from punishment, but from disbelief. They had been told that freedom was a lie, yet here it was, breathing before them. Everywhere he went, order cracked. Planets turned their banners upside down. Soldiers laid down their arms. Whole fleets refused exterminatus orders, unwilling to burn worlds in the name of fear. For the first time, people looked at the sky not as something distant and cruel, but as a promise of what they could become. They followed his words like scripture. You are not tools of survival. You are the reason to survive. But the galaxy is cruel to hope. The warp does not sleep, and chaos watches all bright things with hunger. The moment faith shifted from the Emperor's shadow to Superman's light, the walls between reality and nightmare began to bleed. Planets once silent with obedience now screamed in confusion. Demons emerged from the cracks of human dreams, whispering that this was the true freedom they had always been denied. The light of his compassion became a beacon for both life and horror. Superman saw what he had done. His eyes, once full of warmth, now carried the reflection of burning worlds. He fought harder, faster, desperate to undo what mercy had unleashed. He shattered fleets, silenced cults, and tried to rebuild what chaos had stolen. But the more he saved, the more the galaxy tore itself apart. Then came the Emperor's answer, not through decree, but through resurrection. The Primarchs returned, gods of war reborn to defend their father's dominion. They rose from tombs and legend, armored in vengeance. Gilliman's fleets cut through the stars. The lion hunted in silence. Russ howled for blood. Against them stood the man of peace. Surrounded by those who believed in him, I stood between both fires, loyalty and faith burning on one side, hope and freedom on the other. The galaxy was breaking apart, and I could no longer tell who was right. All I knew was that humanity, for the first time in its long and tortured history, had a choice. And that was something neither God nor Emperor could control. Stars died in silence. One by one, they collapsed into themselves as the galaxy became a battlefield of light and shadow. The warp screamed across every system, its rage meeting the blinding radiance of the Astronomicon. At its center, two figures faced each other, one wrapped in the eternal gold of empire, the other in the blue of broken hope. The Emperor of mankind sat upon his throne, unmoving, yet the very air burned with his presence. Superman stood before him, his cape torn, his armor cracked. His eyes filled not with defiance, but with sorrow. The void itself seemed to tremble between them. The Emperor's voice filled the space like thunder made of will. "You have brought ruin, alien. You have turned humanity from its purpose." Superman's answer was calm, almost fragile, but carried the strength of a dying sun. "I only showed them what they already were, not slaves. Not soldiers, but people who can still choose." Across the galaxy, fleets clashed. Astartes and Custodes tore through rebels who carried his symbol on their chests. Chaos fed on the confusion, birthing monstrosities of belief and despair. Worlds burned, and still his followers held on to a single hope that there was something beyond fear, beyond control. The Emperor rose from his throne for the first time in 10,000 years. The chains of the golden throne shattered like glass, and the light of his being flooded the void.